Hello, I'm Cathrin Stickney. I'm the founder and CEO of Parity.org. I've been sitting here chatting with my good friend, Seth Blackley, who's the CEO of Evolent Health. It's Parity.org's 5th anniversary. And to celebrate, we're speaking with several of our founding corporate partners like Evolent, who took our Parity Pledge early on. And with that, I'd like to get started. Seth, first of all, thank you so much for joining me today and speaking about Evolent Health and what you're doing in the area of diversity. We really appreciate this. I do have a few questions for you, so let me go ahead and get started. First of all, we all know that reaching gender and racial parity is a journey for every company. It's different for every company. So when you think back 5 years ago, where was your organization in terms of gender diversity and leadership? And I'm really thinking of the executive team and the board, which is where the gap is the widest. And also, if you could contrast that to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely, Cathrin. Thanks for having me, and thanks for doing the work that you and the organization do. It's crucial work. Look, we've come a long way in the last 5 years. We're not, I don't think, at the end of the journey, but we've come a long way. The things that I think most about are just from a numerical perspective. Our leadership team was 31% female 5 years ago, and we just hit 50% this year.
Whoa, congrats.
The 31 to 50 is fantastic, and really proud of that. The board is 4 females today, up from 2 5 years ago, and so that's also a big step for us. I think maybe most importantly, though, those are sort of the outputs of the effort. I think probably the most important thing that I think precedes these numbers and also is the output of these numbers is just sort of operating in an inclusive way, which I'm sure we'll talk about more in a minute, but I think it's part of the DNA of the organization. It makes our decision making better. It does, again, show up in gender diversity numbers and lots of other numbers, but I think it ultimately is the kind of key output, and we can talk about that as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So when you think about all the things that you've done in the 5 years to get to this point, what stands out for you? What are you most proud of that you did or that happened in the last 5 years?
Yeah, I think there's sort of 2 or 3 things that come to mind, Cathrin. One of them is that we, I think, believe from the top of our head all the way down to our entire organization that the work that we're doing here does make us better as an organization. It's the right thing to do, of course, but it also makes us better. And I think the fact that we believe that across the organization is part of how we got there. This is not about optics or doing it even just because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do, and it will make us better as an organization, better decision making, and all the things that allow for an inclusive environment that make these numbers move are the same things that I think allow for good decision making. And there's a humility element to it that no one person has, I think, the right idea. And so I think that's probably number one, is just the inclusive mindset and actually believing it and believing that it makes us better. I think the second thing is that there is an element of having to push it from the top down, right? I don't think this kind of thing that you can just sort of allow to happen completely organically, unfortunately. And so, whether it's the board representation or key executives throughout the history of Evolent pushing this as a concept, I think that has been huge. I'll point out one Evolent alum, Robin Glass, who I think was a huge force in getting us going on this.
Good.
And without her push, I don't think we would be here, and she was at the very senior levels of the organization. So, I'd point to that as a second thing. And then the third thing is, really instilling the inclusivity into the organization. We did a pretty broad-based training across the organization around unconscious bias going back about 4 or 5 years ago. And I think that is tied to that first issue of operating with inclusive mindset. But I think it was really important to say, we're going to have that mindset. We're going to go from the top down with the mandates, but then we're also going to bring to the entire organization this training, which I think allows people to understand why this is the right way to do things. And I think the combo of those three things is helping us in the right direction.
That's really excellent. Kudos to you for the progress that you've made. When you think about you as a role model, Evolent Health as a role model for other companies, what is one piece of advice that you'd give to other CEOs that are just starting on this journey to parity and leadership?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I really believe, Cathrin, that you have to really believe in this strategy as part of the core of the company. It can't be a, hey, side of the desk, we're going to have a DE&I thing over here on the side that we, care about, but it's not core to the company. I think this whole work around inclusion has to be very core. And again, I think that ties to a deep belief that it makes us better at our jobs. It makes us better from a shareholder perspective. It makes us better treating our patients, like all the things. It needs to be truly believed, because the reason, in my mind, is there are hard decisions that come up, right? And it sometimes is more expeditious to say, okay, there's this thing over here, I can just go hire this guy. This guy's available and he's ready to be hired. Let's just go for it. And if you don't have the deep belief in what we're doing, it's sometimes just too easy to go to that option, when the right thing to do is to slow down and maybe, look again at the funnel and the options for who you might be hiring for that job, and search a little bit deeper. And so I think, again, it to me, it only works if you really believe it all the way up and down, and it's not something done for optics.
Yeah. If we had found that if the CEO's not engaged, not involved, and as you say, doesn't believe it, it won't get done. We've been decades like this, right? And there's been a lot of talk, but we are still where we are, with the dial not moving in many companies. But you've really shown us that, when there's that intentionality from the top, it can really make a big difference. So Seth, thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us about this on our 5th anniversary. We really appreciate your partnership.
You're welcome, Cathrin. Thanks for the work that you all do. Happy 5th anniversary. And hopefully we'll be doing it again in 5 more.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to that. Thank you.
Thanks for the time.